For over a century, one dinosaur has defied every attempt to understand it. Every time scientists thought they had the answer, new evidence forced them to start over. This is Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the longest carnivorous dinosaur ever discovered, a creature that swam through rivers 95 million years ago and hunted prey that no other dinosaur could reach. At an estimated length of 14 to 15 meters and a weight of 7 to 20 tons, Spinosaurus surpasses even Tyrannosaurus rex in size, making it the largest land predator in Earth's history. But Spinosaurus's true story isn't just about its size. It's about how science works, how discoveries, accidents, and new technology can completely rewrite what we know. This is a story of war, desert expeditions, lost fossils, brilliant science, fierce debate, and ultimately, one of the most astonishing paleontological discoveries of the 21st century. Our story begins in Egypt, in 1912. A German paleontologist named Ernst Stromer von Reichenbach is on an expedition deep into the Sahara Desert. In a remote region of Egypt called the Bahariya Oasis, Stromer's team unearths enormous bones, vertebrae, skull fragments, and neural spines unlike anything found before. The neural spines, extensions of the vertebrae, were nearly 2 meters tall. Stromer had never seen anything like them. He named the creature Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, spine lizard of Egypt. Stromer shipped the bones to Munich, Germany, where they were carefully studied, mounted, and put on display at the Bavarian State Collection of Paleontology and Geology. Based on these original fossils, Stromer concluded Spinosaurus was a large bipedal predator, something like a theropod with a spectacular sail. For decades, this was the accepted view. Then came the Second World War. On the night of April 24, 1944, British bombing raids on Munich targeted the city's infrastructure, and the museum was hit. Stromer's original Spinosaurus fossils, the only known specimens at the time, were completely destroyed. The world's most important dinosaur was now represented by nothing but drawings and notes. It's worth noting that Stromer had pleaded with the museum director to move the fossils to safety before the bombings. His request was refused. He never forgave it. For the next half-century, Spinosaurus remained a ghost, mentioned in textbooks with almost no physical evidence. Scientists debated its size, its lifestyle, even its basic anatomy. Then in the 1990s and early 2000s, isolated Spinosaurus fragments began turning up across North Africa, in Morocco, Niger, and Tunisia, giving scientists new clues to work with. These fragments included teeth, vertebrae, and skull pieces that confirmed Spinosaurus was real, enormous, and had a long, narrow crocodile-like snout, very different from other large theropods. The narrow snout was a critical clue. A snout that shape is excellent for catching fish, similar to modern gharials, suggesting Spinosaurus was a fish-eating specialist. But the real revolution came in 2014. A Moroccan fossil hunter named Ibrahim Nizar brought a collection of bones to paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim, bones that would change everything. Among the bones was something extraordinary. Spinosaurus leg bones with incredibly dense, compact cortical walls, almost no marrow cavity. Bones more like a penguin's or a hippo's than a typical dinosaur's. Dense bones act as ballast. They reduce buoyancy and help aquatic animals stay submerged rather than floating on the surface. This was evidence that Spinosaurus spent significant time in water. The 2014 paper by Nizar Ibrahim and colleagues in the journal Science announced Spinosaurus as a semi-aquatic predator, the first known dinosaur adapted for life in water. The reconstruction that accompanied the paper showed a Spinosaurus unlike anything imagined before. Short hind legs, a low center of gravity, and a body built for swimming rather than running. This was explosive. The scientific community was divided. Could a dinosaur really have been semi-aquatic? Many paleontologists were skeptical. The short legs seemed extreme. Then in 2020, another bombshell. A new partial skeleton discovered in Morocco's Kem beds, the richest source of Cretaceous fossils in North Africa, contained a tail unlike anything seen before. The tail bones had enormously tall neural spines, creating a wide, paddle-like tail fin. The same body plan used by modern crocodilians and many aquatic animals to propel themselves through water. This 2020 paper in the journal Nature settled much of the debate. A paddle tail is unambiguously an aquatic adaptation. Spinosaurus was built to swim. The skeptics were silenced. Computer fluid dynamic models confirmed it. The Spinosaurus tail, when moved side to side, generated up to 8 times more thrust than a flat, typical dinosaur tail would have. So what did Spinosaurus actually look like? Let's build a complete picture, piece by piece, from what the fossils tell us. The skull, long and narrow, about 1.75 meters in length, longer than the average adult human is tall. Conical, interlocking teeth line the jaws, perfect for gripping slippery fish. The nostrils were positioned further back on the skull than in most theropods, set back toward the eyes, allowing Spinosaurus to submerge its snout in water while still breathing. The neural spines, the spectacular sail, rose nearly 2 meters above the backbone. They were covered in skin and may have been used for display, thermoregulation, or even as a fat storage hump. The forelimbs were powerful and bore large, curved claws, up to 30 centimeters long, likely used to hook fish from the water with a bear-like swiping motion. The hind limbs were relatively short and stumpy compared to other large theropods, a concession to aquatic life that would have made Spinosaurus a poor runner on land. The feet may have been partially webbed, or at least broad and flat, like a wading bird's foot, helping Spinosaurus navigate muddy riverbeds without sinking. Pressure-sensitive pits on the snout tip, similar to those in crocodilians, may have allowed Spinosaurus to detect the movement of fish in murky water without seeing them. Now let's place Spinosaurus in its world. 95 million years ago, North Africa was not a desert. It was a vast river delta system, lush, hot, and teeming with enormous creatures. This ecosystem is known as the Kem ecosystem. Scientists call it the most dangerous place in the history of life on Earth, because it was packed with enormous predators competing for the same space. Sharing the Kem with Spinosaurus were Carcharodontosaurus, a T, Rex-sized predator with shark-like serrated teeth, and Deltadromeus, a long-legged swift predator. The rivers were equally terrifying. Sarcosuchus, a crocodilian 7 times heavier than the largest modern crocodile, patrolled the waterways alongside Spinosaurus. Onchopristes swam the rivers too, a giant sawfish with a rostrum studded with barbed spines, reaching up to 8 meters long, a perfect prey item for a fish-eating specialist like Spinosaurus. Evidence that Onchopristes was part of Spinosaurus's diet came from a remarkable discovery. Onchopristes' rostrum barbs embedded in Spinosaurus's neural spines. Coelacanths, lungfish, and enormous Mawsonia fish also inhabited these rivers, a rich fish community that could sustain a super predator the size of Spinosaurus. Let's now imagine a day in the life of Spinosaurus. The sun rises over the river delta. Mist clings to the wide brown river as the enormous creature begins to stir. The Spinosaurus wades into the shallows, its crocodile snout just above the waterline. Its pressure-sensitive pits detect something moving below the surface. In a sudden explosive movement, the massive head plunges beneath the surface. The conical teeth close around a thrashing Onchopristes. A success. Later in the day, the heat becomes intense. The Spinosaurus submerges deeper into the river, its enormous body buoyed by the water, its paddle tail making slow, sweeping movements. Across the river, a Carcharodontosaurus approaches the bank to drink. The two giant predators eye each other across the water, and then, wisely, both look away. Spinosaurus was the undisputed master of the water, but on land, its short legs and heavy body would have made it slower and more awkward than its fully terrestrial rivals. This ecological partitioning was genius from an evolutionary standpoint. By dominating the aquatic niche, Spinosaurus avoided direct competition with the land-based giant predators. Now let's talk about the dinosaur family. Spinosaurus belongs to the Spinosauridae and the remarkable relatives that shared its aquatic lifestyle. Baryonyx walkeri, discovered in England in 1983 in a Surrey clay pit, was the first spinosaurid found with clear evidence of fish in its diet, fish scales preserved in its ribcage. Baryonyx also had a large thumb claw and a long, low skull very similar to Spinosaurus's, confirming that fish eating was a family-wide specialization, not just a Spinosaurus quirk. Suchomimus, discovered in Niger in 1998, was another large spinosaurid with a crocodile snout and a low sail ridge, a cousin of Spinosaurus ruling the rivers of West Africa. Irritator challengeri from Brazil was another spinosaurid. Its name reflects the frustration of scientists when the fossil was tampered with and its skull artificially elongated by collectors. The distribution of spinosaurids across South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia tells us that this fish-eating, semi-aquatic body plan was enormously successful for tens of millions of years. Let's now zoom into the specific anatomy of the 2020 Spinosaurus tail discovery, because it deserves its own moment of appreciation. The tail was preserved as 36 caudal vertebrae, each with elongated neural spines and chevrons that created a tall, laterally flattened profile, identical in principle to an eel's tail. The team used a robotic model of the tail to test its efficiency in water. The undulating paddle tail moved through a water tank, generating remarkable propulsive force. The results: the paddle tail produced 87.6% more thrust than a typical theropod tail. This was decisive. Spinosaurus was built to swim, no question. But not every paleontologist is fully convinced that Spinosaurus was primarily aquatic. A heated debate continues about whether it was a river wader or a true swimmer. Some researchers argue that while Spinosaurus could swim, its short legs make it more likely it was primarily a wader, standing in shallow water to ambush fish rather than actively pursuing them underwater. Others point to the paddle tail, dense bones, and retracted nostrils as a suite of features that only make sense for an animal that routinely entered deep water and swam actively. The truth is likely a spectrum. Like a modern hippo or crocodile, Spinosaurus was probably comfortable in both shallow and deep water, and capable of occasional terrestrial movement. This is how science works. The debate isn't a failure. It's how we get closer to the truth. Each new fossil, each new study, sharpens the picture. Let's now consider what makes Spinosaurus unique, even within the Spinosaurid family. Its neural spines were proportionally far taller than any of its relatives. Some researchers have proposed the sail could have been more like a muscular hump, similar to a bison, rather than a flat sheet of skin supported by bony rods. If the hump hypothesis is correct, Spinosaurus may have stored fat reserves in its hump during times of food plenty, useful in a semi-aquatic environment where prey could be seasonal. The isotope chemistry of Spinosaurus teeth also supports aquatic behavior. Oxygen isotope ratios in its enamel match aquatic and semi-aquatic animals, not purely terrestrial ones. Carbon isotopes in the teeth also contained high ratios of aquatically derived carbon, further confirming that the bulk of Spinosaurus's diet came from aquatic prey. Now let's address a common question. Could Spinosaurus beat T. Rex in a fight? This is one of the internet's most hotly debated prehistoric matchups. The answer requires context. They never actually met. T. Rex lived in North America 66 million years ago. Spinosaurus lived in North Africa 95 million years ago. Different continents, different eras. But if forced to compare, Spinosaurus was longer. T. Rex had a more powerful bite force. Spinosaurus was built for water. T. Rex was built for land combat. In the water, Spinosaurus wins. On land, T. Rex The famous Jurassic Park III scene where Spinosaurus kills a T-Rex, while extremely cool cinema, is paleontologically impossible. The two never shared a time or place. What's fascinating is that the Jurassic Park III Spinosaurus actually predated the 2014 discovery. It was based on the limited fossils available at the time and depicted it as a large bipedal land predator. Now let's return to the chem beds, the incredible fossil formation in Morocco that has yielded so much Spinosaurus material and continues to produce new discoveries. The chem beds date to approximately 95 million years ago, the Cenomanian stage of the late Cretaceous. The rock preserves not just bones, but ecological context. Plant fossils, fish fossils, turtle remains, crocodilian teeth, pterosaur bones. The chem is a complete snapshot of a lost world, and Spinosaurus dominated its rivers. Pterosaurs also soared over these Cretaceous rivers, most notably Anhangra and related forms, diving to snatch fish from the same waters Spinosaurus waded in. The coexistence of so many large predators in one ecosystem is puzzling to scientists. How could so much apex predator biomass be supported? The answer may lie in the extreme productivity of tropical river delta ecosystems. Modern equivalents, like the Amazon Delta, support enormous fish biomass that can sustain many large predators. Spinosaurus went extinct approximately 93 to 95 million years ago, before the end Cretaceous extinction event. The reason may be related to the drying of North Africa. As sea levels changed, and the inland sea that had flooded parts of North Africa retreated, the vast river systems that Spinosaurus depended on may have simply dried up. An animal so specialized for aquatic life, so dependent on rivers and fish, would have had nowhere to go as its habitat shrank. Spinosaurus was a victim of its own extreme specialization. This is a sobering lesson that echoes through time. Extreme specialization is both a superpower and a weakness. When the environment changes, generalists survive. Specialists often don't. But Spinosaurus's legacy lives on in science. The discoveries that revealed its true nature changed how we think about dinosaur diversity and ecological roles. Before Spinosaurus, the idea of a dinosaur as a semi-aquatic animal was largely dismissed. After the 2014 and 2020 papers, the whole field began to reconsider what dinosaurs could be. Questions now being actively researched include: how did Spinosaurus move on land? Did it walk on 2 legs or 4? Could young Spinosaurus swim better than adults? A 2022 study suggested that Spinosaurus likely moved quadrupedally on land, using all 4 limbs like a crocodile out of water, rather than walking upright on 2 legs. If confirmed, this would mean Spinosaurus moved in a crocodile-like sprawl on land, slow, awkward, but functional, further reinforcing that land was not its preferred domain. Let's talk about scale. What would it feel like to stand next to a living Spinosaurus? Imagine standing at the base of a 5-story building that breathes and moves. The footfalls of a Spinosaurus would have shaken the ground. Its breathing, a deep resonant sound. Its sail casting a shadow the size of a small house. Standing in the river, its sail cresting above the waterline like a living sailboat, Spinosaurus would have been the most visually stunning creature in its ecosystem. Now let's discuss the ongoing search for more Spinosaurus material. The Sahara still holds countless undiscovered fossils beneath its sands, and every few years, the picture gets sharper. Nizar Ibrahim and his team have been building a comprehensive fossil repository, working with Moroccan paleontologists to keep discoveries in country and preserve scientific access. A full-size skeletal reconstruction of Spinosaurus was installed at the Natural History Museum in Milan in 2015. The first ever complete as possible mount of this extraordinary animal. The National Geographic Society funded much of the 2014 research, and the documentary that accompanied it brought Spinosaurus into living rooms around the world. Spinosaurus has also become a symbol of how fossils can be lost to history, through war, looting, and destruction, and why protecting and preserving paleontological heritage matters enormously. The story of Stromer himself is remarkable. He survived both world wars and the Nazi regime, losing 2 sons in combat. He continued his scientific work until his death in 1952 at age 80. Stromer never saw his discovery fully vindicated, but today his name is honored in the scientific literature, and Spinosaurus, his greatest find, is finally understood. What does Spinosaurus mean for our understanding of dinosaurs? It tells us that dinosaurs were far more ecologically diverse than we ever imagined. Dinosaurs weren't just land animals waiting to be replaced by mammals. They were an extraordinarily adaptive group that filled land, air, and, as Spinosaurus now shows, water. Spinosaurus also raises questions about other dinosaurs we haven't found yet. If a 14-meter aquatic dinosaur existed for millions of years in North Africa, what else are we missing? There are entire prehistoric ecosystems we know almost nothing about, particularly from the tropics where heat and humidity destroy fossils before they can be preserved. Every time paleontologists return to the Sahara or dig new sites in Morocco, they find something unexpected. The age of discovery is far from over. 95 million years ago, a creature unlike anything before or since ruled the rivers of North Africa. It was longer than a city bus, sailed like a ship, and hunted like a crocodile. It rewrote our understanding of what a dinosaur could be, and the science is still being written. The next discovery may change everything again. Spinosaurus, the dinosaur that rewrote history, the monster of the rivers, the largest predator to ever walk or swim this earth.